comes Elastica, stretching her arms, Elastica, no one's beyond her reach. Ah, Elastica!
9 billion names of pod.
From Atlanta,
Sister city of Municeburg.
it's the 9 Billion Names of Pod with Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm 14 years older.
So, let's talk about some stuff.
Alrighty.
Yes, a scant 14 years after the original.
Well,
Stuff happens. People get busy.
Hey, respect to Pixar and Disney for not trying to rush out another film immediately.
Yeah, 14's a little excessive. But so if you haven't figured out what we're talking about, and we will spoil the crap out of Incredibles 2.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Or as I like to call it, Better Call Incredibles. Not one, but two people from Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Decker is Mike Ehrmantraut.
Right. Is Jonathan Banks. We'll get to that because that is a casting change from the original.
Oh, Decker was a different voice?
It was a different voice, and if you notice at the end, I guess we'll just jump around. It's
The Loving Memory?
Loving Memory of Bud Lucky, and evidently, I had thought that. I thought Bud, first, I don't know where or in the zeitgeist I heard it, that the guy who played that character had passed away.
Oh.
So I guess it was early last year. I must have been when they were doing the voices, and so Dicker had a very much smaller role than he did in the thing, and Jonathan Banks did an admirable job.
Oh yeah,
because he was very he's very measured and not.
He's very
measured.
He's very Mark Ehrmantraut.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, seriously, without the little bit of beleaguered, good God, this shit attitude like Mike had, it's more that's kind of, yeah, all right, okay.
Yeah, he's more sad, actually, just because he was, even in the first one, like I said, I just did rewatch the first Incredibles.
I have not, so
you're a little...
I remember watching it. I remember just the vague strokes of it, but beyond that, it has been flensed from my memory.
Well, that character, he was definitely on their side. He was a friend, he was on their side, and he was more... not put upon, but he felt guilty about the way things turned out. He was their caseworker, basically. So anytime they, because Bob, Mr. Incredible, would run around at night and kind of, save people and on the sly. Because again, if you don't remember, superheroes were made illegal in this world, and Digger was their guy to clean up. He was their Mr. Wolf, their government agent. Like, oh, well, we'll move you. And at that point, and in the first one, he's like, look, we can't keep doing this. They're not going to keep moving you around. There's no money for this and that kind of thing. And they scaled back his character a lot in this movie, but he was a vital part of it. And I didn't really go, gosh, why isn't, it didn't seem like he should have been in it more. Now, I've read that there's several, storylines and plot bits that they couldn't get to because they had to trim, the film's 2 hours, 5 minutes. Yeah.
And we were in a theater on a Saturday early in the afternoon. Let's just say
with what I believed was a special needs group.
Right.
Which is fine.
And they were fine. It's the little kids. There was one, mommy, like every 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just, but you know what? I can't get upset. It's Saturday. It's a kid's movie.
It was 1:45 p.m.
Right.
as well. So
right.
That's on us.
Now, if we had gone to see Heredity, or is it Hereditary? I think it's Hereditary, whatever, the scary film, or A Quiet Place or whatever, and that was happening, I'd be like, you are a terrible parent. And it's happened. I usually go and see films very late at night to avoid crowds and people because
Tuesday evenings is our preferred.
And sometimes there'll be a couple in there with a little 3-year-old. Now, I understand. I get it. You want to have a night out. You want to see, you can't afford a babysitter, but damn, do you have to pick a film that is like a hard R?
Yeah. I mean, if the kid's small enough, they won't get it or understand.
Probably not.
But it's still somewhat irresponsible, and it's disrespectful to the other patrons.
Exactly. But,
but like you said, it was the afternoon on a Saturday. It's what, it is kind of on us, and it was fine.
It was fine.
It was
yeah.
fine.
I mean,
a few moments where I was like, oh, old people in front of me, please. Just stop talking. I get
what?
You,
what? I can't hear what you're saying. Explain to me the last 40 minutes of the film
that I went to the restroom for. No, they were lovely, lovely people.
Lovely people. But back to the film.
So, I will give you my take on
right.
my broad stroke take on this.
All right.
Back 14 years ago when The Incredibles came out, this is all pre-Marvel, such as the DCEU is. This is still back in the darkish days of, you had your Christopher Nolan.
I think we had the first first Spider-Man.
Yes, I think we had the first Spider-Man. So we were just starting to kind of figure out the genre.
What are we in the platinum age of superheroes now?
Oh my God, yeah.
We've had the silver age, the golden age. So
Yeah.
I guess, are we in the platinum age?
Something like that.
At least as far as the films go. I don't know if that translates into what's going on in the print comics.
Right. No. They're parallel, but they're not. They're not with the. I mean, they pull bits and pieces. Like I know Captain Marvel's suit and all the stuff that's coming forward. They're kind of
Captain Marvel.
That's going to be a thing, man.
Apparently, she went through a brutal training regimen. This isn't just put an attractive blonde in a suit and make her go pow, pow, pow.
No.
She trained like Linda Hamilton trained.
Right. Well, she's supposedly there's a reason Nick Fury's calling her. She's that powerful. She's like one of the more powerful people in the MCU, supposedly. And so I'm good.
She's
glad.
got that red right hand or something like that.
But when the first Incredibles came out, I was like, this is hands down the best superhero movie we've ever had.
You were what, 15, 16?
Sure.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is amazing. This Incredibles 2 is, in my opinion, every bit as good. And I think it goes toe to toe with Avengers.
Really?
I do. Just for visuals, story, action, plot, levity. I think it's amazing. I really loved it. I thought it was great.
I did as well. The thing that I love the most is something that maybe not other people would get out of this. Oh, the mid-century modern design of everything.
Down right to, I'll tell you my favorite element, which goes along with that, is
the sunken?
The score.
Oh, yeah, well, yes.
The score.
Very Lalo Schifrin,
very
Bondy
loungy,
in places.
Loungy, combo-y, big band orchestra. I mean,
man, that design.
Yeah.
I wanted to climb into that because I am an absolute fanatic for mid-century modern design, like early to mid-50s to early to mid-60s.
Yeah.
That it had the sunken seating place,
yep.
The big fire, the stone, the angles,
down to the Sputnik inspired lamp.
I mean, as part of my remodel, I purchased one of those. I have it ready to go. Take specialty bulbs and everything, and I've got it. It's ready to go.
Once you get
sometime in the next 40 years when it gets frickin' done. But I saw that and the art direction. Oh, and as soon as they started the film and they did the Disney logo in that
Incredibles
mid-century modern angular,
is that deco? Does that count as deco?
Kind of,
Right.
It has that Madison Avenue 1963 advertising, hip, atomic age, space age feel to it.
Yeah,
that's
exactly it. The atomic age, down to the TV in the black and white TVs, in the hotel room and in the house,
right?
And everything.
And I found it very interesting that a major plot point of the film revolved around screens.
Yeah,
where in that particular film they're not as ubiquitous as they are in our society.
Well, and no one has
a cell phone, or we don't see them.
Like public. I mean,
just down to the blueprints that Elastigirl found for the maglev train. It looks like something Disney did for the park in 1964.
Yeah, for Tomorrowland.
Yeah. Oh, it just, that was my favorite part of the entire film. Just the very, it could be modern, but there's so much, it's so grounded in 50 years ago design wise. I want to find out the person who was, I need to find out the person who was the art direction or whatever, and just worship them, follow them on whatever, get on a screen and follow them. I will obey whatever they say.
Producer, cinematographer, casting director, production designer, Lou Romano is the name.
Lou Romano.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I will.
The art director is Ralph Eggleston.
Oh, that name sounds very familiar.
Let's see. Ralph Eggleston. Pixar. A lot of Pixar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like all the Pixar.
But I mean, I'm gonna dial into that to see what other stuff, because that for me was, I mean, I hate to say it, for me that was the film. The look, the feel, it just was so grounded.
It's immersive. It brings you into that world, and everything has that aesthetic.
I mean, down to the opening and closing credits.
Yeah.
Had that. They basically recapped the whole movie in that, like I said, that Madison Avenue 1963
pitch meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the broad strokes.
Lobby card.
Yeah, yeah. Go get me some coffee, and hike up your skirt a bit. I'll show off those gams, Not quite that bad, but you know what I mean. More Mad Men.
Yeah, exactly.
And that for me was well, it was everything. Now, I did not know until I just looked it up. Mm-hmm. Sarah Vowell.
Yeah, she was Violet in the first one as well.
I did not.
Sarah Vowell, if you don't know, is a contributor to This American Life, is she an author?
She is,
and
I think she writes for the New Yorker and other stuff.
Right.
I think she's kind of a jack of all trades, kind of Amy Sedaris, without so much of a focus on the home ec side of things.
this was she said was just a fluke and a half to get the first movie back in the day. She said, I don't remember if it was Brad Bird who called her or someone the casting director was like, we want someone who sounds like a little girl, and she has that
she
still does. I mean, she's probably our age at this point and has that,
what, mid-30s?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
She has that lisp, and everybody in they obviously had to recast Dash because the kid who because he was an 8-year-old kid, and now he's in his 20s probably.
Yes. Although you never know how Yardley Smith's been doing an 8-year-old boy for
she's
40, 50 years old now.
But that's why they cast women usually to play young boys, like Tara Strong and Debbie Derryberry and Yardley Smith. They all play male characters because they don't want them to grow up and start sounding like this. I'm Dash. I'm 9 years old.
Don't have a cow, man. Skinner, you suck.
And this movie, literally, the way it opens with the Underminer coming up, that is the end of the that's the exact. I mean, it takes place 1 second after the last.
Yeah, because I couldn't remember where did the last one end, and then as I'm going through the film, going, if any time has passed, I don't think it's been that much time.
No, that scene takes place 3 months prior. It was in the first movie, all the events and the house blowing up and Syndrome and all that. That ends, and then there's 3 months later, and they're at Dash's thing, and they're the family, and she and same kid like that Violet tries to sets the date up with. That's all there. So it's 3 months after, but it's 1 second after the end of Incredibles.
Okay.
And God love them, they set up the end of this movie they could go right into Incredibles 3.
Yep, absolutely. Which, basically I read it somewhere, I think it was Holly Hunter that said, yeah, we're not opposed to coming back for a third one. No, Brad Bird said, but some of them might need oxygen to do it. I'm like, Easy now.
That's a little.
That's Craig T and Holly Hunter are not.
They're not that old.
No, I would say they're probably in their early to mid 60s.
Yeah, something like that.
So you want to get along. You don't want to have a James Earl Jones situation where Darth Vader sounds definitely older in the prequel or in Rogue One.
In Rogue One. Yeah, but I mean, it still sounded like him. It was still,
it did.
It's not recasting, which was one of the best things about this. I mean, with the exception of Dash and Decker.
Yeah, both out of necessity.
Yes, there was no other choice.
It's not like they said, "Yeah, you were doing coke in the studio, so we're not going to invite you back."
Right. It wasn't like, why did they? It's they did it elegantly.
That's got to suck for the original guy.
I wonder if he's in it. I wonder if they gave him a part. I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Possibly. You know what I was listening for very hard after realizing. You got Saul, you got Mike. I went, man, if they even do just a tiny ancillary character and give it to Walter White.
I don't think so.
Bryan Cranston, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be very cool.
He did do some voiceover stuff. He's actually, believe it or not.
Oh, he's in Supermansion.
Supermansion.
Oh, you don't watch Supermansion?
No.
It's on Crackle. Whoever heard of that network, but they have it available online. And it basically is like, how to put this? It's like Robot Chicken style.
Okay.
But it's about a bunch of superheroes. Some of it's about their fighting crime, but it's most while they're around the Superman-chen and their interdynamics and weird things and the kind of love-hate that the Batman and the Joker-ish character kind of like, you're my best friend. I hate you. I love you. I had a dream about you. Weird. I mean, it's weird, twisted stuff. And Bryan Cranston plays Titanium Rex.
That's a great name.
Yeah. So that's...
the thing I remember, and it's only because Kevin Smith was talking about it, he did a voice on one episode of the very, very, very short-lived Clerks cartoon.
Oh, did he?
He did.
Long before Breaking Bad.
Well, long before that, because he said...
Long before Malcolm in the Middle, probably.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Kevin was talking, he said, yeah, we remember, we got this guy in to do a voice, and I was like, oh, this guy's pretty good. What are you doing? Oh, we're doing Malcolm. I have a show coming up called Malcolm in the Middle, and we were like, oh, yeah, that'll go. Ha. And
it runs for what, like 5 seasons?
Right, and he's a genius.
Yeah. Yeah, he's done well for himself. I just recently saw, what was it with him? I want to say it was the LBJ film he did.
Okay.
It's Bryan Cranston. What do you want? I mean,
he did that on stage, I believe.
Did he do it?
He did something on stage like that. I can't remember.
It
was a one-man show based on a president. So I think it was that.
Kind of like what Will Ferrell did for George W. Bush.
Little different.
Oh God, who's going to do the post-impeachment Trump show on Broadway?
Nobody. We're just going to all let it forget about it.
We're
going to scrub that from our collective.
Who wants to bet that when all the living presidents get together on occasion because that's going to be some interesting optics, because either he ain't going to be there.
He won't show. He won't show up at the freaking correspondence dinner. He's not going to show up to this other stuff, especially when they take him down, kicking and screaming out of the damn White House.
Yeah. Well, as much as I would like to see that happen today, I'd much rather he be defeated.
Yes, absolutely.
Neutered in the midterms, defeated in 2020, so that the other side can go, deep state, it's a witch hunt.
Blah,
anyway, hey, let's get back to
superhero.
Let's get back to superheroes and not talk about the opposite of superheroes. I guess
supervillains.
Exactly.
What else? Yeah. This movie was great.
Can we talk about Jack?
We sure can.
I mean, that for me made the film, on top of the design and everything, that added just the amount of comedy, levity in there, because if it was missing, I don't think it would be as enjoyable a film for me.
Okay.
Because that was the punctuation, the stuff that kind of carried certain scenes.
Well, that was the brilliance of the first movie as well, because it was a superhero movie, but it was about their real life struggles, which is kind of an old tenet of Marvel. Like, that was Stan Lee's kind of thing. He's like, here's this godlike person with these extra human abilities, but he's really just a high school kid trying to get his homework done and get his newspaper job done. And these 4 individuals with powers, but they're really just a dysfunctional family.
Right.
So that's an undercurrent, and that's what the brilliance of the first one is. And this carries on more of that.
Right. It grounds it and makes it more realistic in the sense that as long as you accept, yes, they have these superpowers. Now what else?
Yeah.
What makes them a fully developed person? It's not like they cease to exist
when they take the mask off.
Exactly. So I thought that was
I think they hit all those notes just beautifully, because you got, everybody got their moments. Jack was hilarious, and he was kind of the X factor of the whole movie.
Num Num Cookie.
Num Num Cookie. The baby is on fire. The demon baby. Well, we got to talk about Edna too.
This reminds me. Someone needs to cut together, do a super cut of the Jack on fire scenes to Brian Eno's "Babies on Fire."
Okay, that's all you.
That's a classic Eno song, and I'm like, I don't understand what that's supposed to mean. Now I'm like, now we have the visuals to go along with "Babies on Fire."
But they gave you everything. There was the job offer for Elastigirl and how Bob had to deal with that, and, which is a little 50s, but it makes sense. It was good. And then you had Violet had a much bigger part, and she was a much more of a character in this, which was really great. And Dash was
when she's angry to get some ice cream, but she's invisible. But all you see is the shirt. Come along, get the ice cream, and go.
Because her suit disappears when she disappears. It's just her when she disappears.
Which is interesting concept. We can get into that. If you're invisible, I think they addressed this in
in the first one.
Maybe in the first one, because I don't remember much about it. But in the Fantastic Four, where Jessica Alba had to get nude to be completely invisible,
right?
Because is your invisibility in your body, or is it a field that you project around? If it's a field, then yes, you can make your clothes disappear,
right?
But if it's your body, it don't work that way.
Well, in this, they did address that. It's just her body, and then Edna made the suit that would go along with it.
Right.
Reflection, whatever it is. Edna. Which, originally, Edna was supposed to, I believe, Edna is obviously Edith Head. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of, you have. I mean, the audience.
Every single film from the beginning of film until yesterday, costumes by Edith Head.
Right, who was a costume designer.
Hollywood
classic.
Exactly. Hollywood has gotten more head than just about any Edith Head. The designs.
Yes. Right,
what I'm talking about. Classic stuff that you'd go, wow, that's great. I wonder who designed it. 9 times out of 10, it's Edith Head. Up until maybe the early to mid 70s, I think, maybe.
Yeah, something to that effect.
I can't remember
the
exactly.
golden age of Hollywood.
Exactly.
The classic. And originally, from what I understand, it was supposed to be Linda Hunt was supposed to do the voice.
Oh,
I think
it's Brad Bird doing a very good Linda Hunt,
and that's what it was. He was doing a scratch track, for them to add to it, and they were just like, "No, you're just gonna do this."
Yeah.
And he came back, he did, and he's so amazing.
Oh yeah, and she just, she had literally, I'm gonna say, 7 minutes tops, maybe 5 total screen time.
The one thing I would have liked to have seen.
Yeah.
The one thing I missed out on this was Edna actually confronting Helen, not just Bob, about the suit, about her using someone else. I want the end of the thing, just lay it into her.
Now, what I thought would have been interesting if when the suit for the baby was debuted, Bob went, "Hey, it has a cape. I make exception." Just something like that.
They didn't tag up on that.
Okay,
Interesting.
that's fine. You don't have to punch every little
Yeah, they didn't. They were really good. They didn't really do that. They didn't hey, wink to the remember the last movie?
Yeah, remember that thing that made you feel good? We're gonna do it again,
They
so
just
you feel
carried
good now.
on.
Yeah.
I like I said, I just watched it, so. The Edna's home is exactly the same fence, the same test room.
Wow, she's good on upkeep.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't try too hard, with that. So
it's like, I love our visits. Goodbye.
I enjoy our visits. Goodbye.
Yeah, that was interesting. I was wondering how they're gonna try to contain the baby. And that actually turned that into a bit of a plot point. Towards the end on the hydrofoil, because as soon as they're in the ship there, and I see that there's water, I'm like going, are they in a hydrofoil?
Oh.
And sure enough, they're in a hydrofoil.
Right.
I know about hydrofoils because they had one at SeaWorld in San Diego. That was like a big thing. You get on and you hydrofoil around
It goes
the
up
bay.
out of the water. It
Exactly.
goes faster and all that.
You're like, ooh, it's you know,
Science.
yeah, exactly. Well, it was new and exciting in the 60s. And
Yeah.
by the time I was on, it's like, whatever. You know, I saw a land speeder, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, the levitation is a little bit better than just, you know, little things on the water.
We're in the water. We're out of the water. We're in the water. We're out of the water.
Craig T. Nelson, solid.
Oh yeah,
Solid.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a bit of a loon in real life, but he's a little conservative for me. But it's
you know,
it happens.
As long as your conservatism doesn't have you calling people apes on
And
Twitter,
such, yeah.
you know, you can be conservative,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
can enjoy your art. Just don't be evil conservative.
Don't be evil conservative.
I know it's a 50-50 bet in this world, you know. Just because you're conservative doesn't mean you're evil. But if you're evil, there's a good chance that you're a conservative.
Correlation is not causation.
Exactly.
But
Yeah, you know, exactly. I thought his development in this was, like you said, a little, 50s about the getting out there and his ego. But they brought it up. He kind of dealt with it ish. Mm-hmm. Did a little Mr. Mom thing going there.
Yep.
I got it. He did not have it.
He did not have it.
He did not have it. And
that was actually true to the character, because that was in the whole first movie is him just I am dying to be the superhero again, and it carried on that tradition. They didn't deviate, they didn't change his motivation at all.
Right. They just threw something new at him, like, yeah, there's going to be a superhero, and it ain't going to be you.
Yeah, and yes, they played, like I said, they played the 50s card a little bit, but again, it still worked.
But you know what? I wouldn't fault. There was a time when I was like 19, 20, where the girl I was dating and living with had an opportunity for a job that was going to make her a lot of money. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I have to admit, a little twinge of, ooh, she'll be making more money than me. It rose up in me.
Right.
But then I went, we're a couple. It's awesome. And then it went back down again. So I don't fault Bob for that.
It's a reflex.
You have a reflex. And if it's a reflex, you can't necessarily help it, but it's what you do with that impulse, that reflex. You may feel like, oh, I don't like that, but hold it. Why? Oh, yeah, you're just being a dick. Okay. Seriously. Yeah. I mean, and you just, it's the same thing with any, prejudices or whatever. I can't fault someone for having that moment of, but it's how you deal with it. That's what tells, if you then say, no woman of mine's going to be making more money, then, you failed the test, buddy.
Yeah,
you failed the test. He got a little grouchy, but he pulled it together.
He did, because he's a good dad, and he did the best he could.
Right. His male ego was dented a bit,
Right.
That white male ego, golly, it's
the worst.
It's not done a lot of good things
for anybody ever.
I mean, it probably has spurred people to do things they normally wouldn't have done for good.
Yeah.
But, that force for good can easily be turned to the White House.
Okay.
All right.
Easy.
Here we go. Okay.
Easy.
All right.
Superhero movies.
Movies. Okay.
Interesting turn bringing Bob Odenkirk in as Dev.
Devlin. Well, his name isn't DevTech.
DevTech, right?
It's
as the.
Now, did you recognize the voice of the sister?
I looked it up after.
It's Catherine Keener.
Right, and is she from Medical Hall?
No.
Okay.
No. Oh, trust me, that I would have led with that.
Okay.
Because I'm going, okay, 1, awesome. 2, could be a coincidence. 3, no, they were doing something, but only 2. My guess is that maybe they already had Odenkirk on board for this, and when they couldn't have, the original voice for Deckard, like, why don't you try Jonathan?
Maybe. You never know.
Possible.
Possible.
Or it could be the other way around.
Right.
They had to replace, the voice for Decker and says, why don't you throw a bone to, because our schedules are aligned.
Yes, that's right.
Because,
he ain't working either right now.
Vince Gilligan says that the world of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul in the next season are going to get a lot closer.
Interesting.
And he teased something that blew my mind a bit. He says, a very important character from Breaking Bad will be in the next series, but it's not necessarily a character that you've seen before. What? So we're going to find it's people think, they're going to bring in Walter White.
I don't think they'd ever do that.
Unless it's the very last episode and they try to tie something at the very end of Better Call Saul, okay.
Yeah.
But don't, the way you haven't watched any of it, have you?
Well, I haven't watched Better Call Saul?
Better Call Saul.
No, I haven't watched any of it.
Okay. Well, the way they've integrated the characters that were in Breaking Bad has been flawless. No problem. It's been good. It hasn't been like, hey, look what we're doing. It's been like, this is natural. This should happen this way.
Does it look like it would, the way they end Better Call Saul is the meeting with him and Walter White and Jesse? Like, does the timeline lead up to that?
It could.
So that would be the logical thing, but he's good enough to not do that. Vince Gilligan. He's good enough to not do the obvious. The last scene of Better Call Saul is him having a meeting with them. Is something else?
With with Walter White standing on the spaceship, looking as the Tantive 4 blasts off. Like, all right, we're not going to be quite so.
It's
we're not going to
easy.
connect it so much,
right.
But Gus Fring, baby.
Gus Fring.
Got Gus from Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay. Yes.
I'm looking forward to such things.
All right.
So, anyway, hey, what are we talking about? It's a film called The Incredibles. Let's talk about Holly Hunter.
Holly Hunter, yeah.
Interesting. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know where you're going with this.
It just.
Do you not like her? Do you like her performance?
See, that's the thing. I have nothing against her. I've seen her in some things that haven't been good, but then again, my favorite actors have been in things that haven't been good.
Well, yeah.
Or they have been good.
That's being an actor.
Yeah, exactly. You can't choose, unless
she's in classic movie. I mean, Raising Arizona.
Raising Arizona, The Piano, Broadcast News.
Yep.
Yeah. No. I watched the entire series of Saving Grace, which was interesting. You ever watch that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's interesting.
Okay.
It's interesting. I think it was a TNT show.
Oh.
But I'm kind of meh on Holly Hunter.
That's fine. She was every bit as good in this as in the first one.
Yeah.
She was Helen, and that's a great character. I think real strong, positive role model. And all that.
I mean, they didn't. I like the fact that the villain was female.
Yeah,
because I knew damn well that when Elastigirl got the screensaver in that, I went, that is too easy.
Yeah,
and then of course when he's like, "What's going on?" Well, now I know it's too easy because there's something else.
I'm always looking ahead.
Exactly.
That's the problem with anything I watch. It's like, well, it's only the villain's got to be either him, her, or her, and
I was between the brother or the sister.
Well, yeah,
I knew it was going to be the brother or the sister,
and I was like, I bet it's her. It just has to be the tech and all.
I hadn't made up my mind, and then I drifted because I tried to control myself, going, dude,
just to enjoy the movie.
Just enjoy the film.
That's what I try.
Don't try to find every plot. If a plot point, presents itself to you, acknowledge it, but don't look for it because you ruin the joy of experiencing the film.
And it's just story structure. There can only be so many ways it can go.
Right.
So you just got to roll with it.
Right. It wouldn't have nearly the same impact if all of a sudden some completely new party suddenly was the screenslaver. Be like, oh, okay, well, I mean, plausible, but not as much, impact. And of course, all the things that happened in the third act, chances are, if you're not, heir to multi-billion-dollar technology fortune, you couldn't have all that stuff happen. Right. So it really needed to be one or the other. And I'm glad it wasn't Saul.
Yes.
Now let's talk about some of our new heroes.
Yes, I was just going to come up to that. Yes.
We'll start with my favorite.
Okay.
Reflux. Soon as they said that, I'm going, oh God.
Oh God.
Either he's going to breathe fire, he's going to belch lava, he's going to something, or it's going to be some noxious gas.
Vomit, yeah.
And apparently it was lava.
It was lava.
It seemed like lava.
And that's kind of a cool superpower.
That is.
That's pretty intense.
I mean, that's not to be messed with.
Right.
Although I did like the Void.
Void. Okay, so one of the problems with
X-Men ripoff. Excuse me.
Well, that's what I mean. One of the problems with superhero movies is it's at this point, we're 75, 80 years on.
Right, coming up with a new power.
With a new power is really tough.
Although I won't reveal it here, but I have to run by an idea by a friend of mine because I have come up with what I think is a completely new superpower, and it's devastating.
Okay.
I mean, there is no defense.
Well, you can ask me off the air, and I'll tell you if it's somebody.
I'll ask you off air, because if not, I wouldn't mind at least doing a short story about it.
Sure.
But
yes, going back.
Reflux.
That's pretty intense. But
if it's lava, you have the added thing like the lava hardens, so like you can encase somebody.
Yeah.
I mean,
you just burn them alive.
Well, burn them alive. But I mean, when what's she? Inviso Girl, is that her name?
She doesn't have any. It's just Violet. She
Violet?
doesn't really have.
She doesn't have a nickname.
No, she doesn't have a.
Well, Violet does her force field. You can encase that force field.
Yeah, and she's stuck until.
But I think she can pulse, so she could probably shatter. Yeah. She could shatter the lava.
Yep.
But I thought that's interesting.
Right, but going back to Void, yes, there was a character called Blink that did in X-Men.
Yeah.
Who did
the portals.
Well,
there's a I think it's a battle scene in, is it Days of Future Past?
Yes.
Which
is where Blink really came from.
Yeah, exactly. And that was wonderful because, you just start putting up these voids and boom, 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 boom.
And there's a game called Portal, which is a puzzle game where you do that. You find that's one of my favorite games. It's you literally wake up in this room. It's a first person perspective.
Oh God. Is it Cube? Is it Cube the movie? Have you seen Cube?
No.
Oh God. See it. It's a low budget kind of horror film, but more psychological thriller with a bit of gore.
No. This game is you wake up in like a little cell with a cot, and there's this robot voice like saying you're a test subject, and you get out of the room and you're walking around and
dude, that's Cube. Well, kind of Cube.
You end up finding this.
Hey Dan, Cube.
Stop saying Cube. No, you find this
Cube.
You find this gun.
Yeah.
Which?
Oh, it's a portal. It's a Rick and Morty portal gun.
Pre Rick and Morty.
All right.
So yes, it ends up you have two settings, orange and blue, and you shoot one and you can jump in and come out of the other. It's exactly like Void can do, but in the game you have to do it on specific walls. You can't just do it in the air like she was doing. And what I was going back to my original point on these being such great superhero movies is that the execution of the powers is so flawless. Being computer animation, you can literally do anything.
Yeah.
So everything is just flawless.
Trying to get Elastigirl onto the plane. She keeps falling.
Which was great.
Void back. Like, good God.
And because she's not a great superhero.
See, I like that because it shows like, hey, just because you have superpowers doesn't mean
you're
freaking flawless and can even do it, So I thought that worked out very nicely. I was very happy with that. But Reflux is my boy. Little old man. I'm like, what the hell is his superpower going to be? And he said Reflux. I went, of course it is. Of course it's Reflux. What was the other one? My name's Brick, or the big Thing.
The big thing. Yeah.
The Thing.
There was the electric guy.
Electric guy. He seemed kind of like one of those smarmy Tony Stark douchebag types.
Yeah,
a little bit
with electrical powers.
And
the Crusher guy.
Crusher guy. And one of the greatest scenes in the whole film. Hey, can you uncrush this so I can get to the engine room? What? What is uncrush.
Uncrush
you know?
is stupid.
Yeah. What? Do I ask you to unpunch somebody?
Right.
And I'm like, he's got a point there.
He's got a point.
I like that. It was a little too convenient. I mean, Mr. Incredible is supposed to be pretty strong.
Yeah.
He should have been able to get to the engine.
But that's what happens when you get a bunch of superheroes together. Their powers don't negate each other, but they, you get a super strong guy who can against a guy who can crush things, and it just go head to head,
right,
back
right.
and forth.
Interesting. And then of course we have the owl. Or the owl.
Screech, he
was
called
that it?
himself.
Screech, that's
Yeah.
it. Screech.
Yeah,
I mean, I liked him on Saved by the Bell, but damn, in this film, no.
I liked him in Watchmen as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of a...
He was fine. He was fine. Like I said, there are only so many iterations that you can come up with.
At least in Watchmen, the power of the owl was just goggles and punching.
Well, he was Batman. That's what he was. And he was Batman. Ozymandias was, because Alan Moore couldn't get the rights to the DC universe, and so he just made up his own.
Made his own, yeah, exactly.
Except based on, blah, blah,
Of
blah.
Of course. As far as I know, Screech was just flying around and kicking ass.
Yeah,
I mean,
at a Sonic
not
Screech
everyone
and-
has to do, something spectacular,
Right.
Theoretically. Let's see. Was there? I think that was it. I think that's it for the
of the ones we see. We saw a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, there
end.
were some at the end and various places where it just.
And I missed it. Was it? It sounded like Isabella Rossellini as the ambassador. Yeah, it was. It was Isabella.
Okay.
Yeah. Rick Dicker.
Yeah, I love it. And she was the ambassador of what? No, we don't get to know that. It's just
someplace.
The ambassador. Well, it's probably some indeterminate European country. It isn't necessary to name the country, but I just thought ambassador of what exactly?
Yeah, and that's just like a random title.
I'm the ambassador of agriculture from Portugal, but you don't need to know this. People want to kill me on the Lev train.
The levitating train. Yeah, that was stuff
train,
like that.
Lev train.
Speaking of my favorite thing in the whole thing was the
end credits.
The end credits. They had the actual, because there's a gag in the movie where Bob Odenkirk's character is like got theme songs for all the characters.
Hey, they're singing it together,
singing it and dancing. Pow, 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 Mr. Incredible. And at the end, they did big time orchestrations
and
of
did
their
all
themes.
three of them. They did Elastigirl, they did Frozone, and they did Mr. Incredible.
I was like, that's genius.
Who's the I think that's a kind of a Lalo Schifrin kind of Mission Impossible sounding kind of 60s theme.
You're more up on that than I would be. So I will defer to you. But yes, very, very.
Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. That Frozone is one bad mother.
Hey, shut your mouth.
Hey, just talking about Frozone.
Yeah, Sam Jackson back as Frozone.
Well, I tell you, I was just going, they wouldn't dare put an F-bomb in this. No, they never would.
No.
And of course, and bad on me for thinking that Sam Jackson can't do any film without saying motherfucker 100 times.
Right. Well, they did that gag in Infinity War at the very end. I mean, he was like when he was dissolving.
Yeah.
Again, spoilers. It's a and he disappeared.
Yeah, and you got to get that in there.
Yeah, and of course we got the two Pixar staples. One, John Ratzenberger. He's the Underminer.
Oh, yeah.
And he was in the first one. He might not have even re-recorded his shit. That was probably
there wasn't a lot of
yeah. No, he did stuff. No, they had that big fight underground. That's right. When he was,
yeah, but I mean, he wasn't talking the whole time.
True, but I mean, he had more lines than the first one. And
yeah, that's right. Because Ratzenberger is like he must live at Pixar.
He's their good luck charm. They said
he's like Toy Story, Incredibles.
He's in every movie. He's in every movie somewhere. The other one is there's an Easter egg that they put in all of the Pixar movies.
Oh, I don't know about this. What is that?
John Lasseter and all the Pixar guys at, I guess, what's the big USC Film School? I think they all went
USC.
to.
That is the big film school.
The either classroom or the edit suite or whatever. The number, the classroom is
113.
A113,
and that's dementia.
Dementia 113.
I saw that and I'm going, I know dementia 13. what's Dementia A113?
It was on a marquee in one of the
for the
film
film they went to.
And at the end, and one of the A's was a different color, so it was like all blue, and one of them, the A was red, and then 113, and I was like, there it is. And I usually don't catch that in the Pixar movies because sometimes it's wicked subtle, but I was like, there we go. There we go.
It's like looking for the hidden Mickeys at Disneyland, or for all the, you know about the hidden Mickeys?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Where they're all over the park. Right?
They're all over the park, and they hide them around.
They said somebody posted online, you're at Disney in New Star Wars Land, you should hide there should be hidden R2D2s or Porgs or Yodas or something that,
or some hidden Mickeys.
Hidden Mickeys,
because they hide Mickeys all over the park.
Right.
It's not like it is Mickey Mouse. It kind of sometimes is just three circles that look like the head and the ears.
Right, and that's the thing people try to.
Oh yeah, there's a whole thing. I'm sure there's a website that says, "Ooh, found another one," and they list all the hidden Mickeys.
Yeah. Which
at some point, I have friends. I grew up in Southern California,
right.
So going to Disneyland, you get that season pass and. Like, what do you want to do this weekend? Disneyland? Okay. Next weekend. What do you want to do? Disney, and you can just go and you can find all the hidden Mickeys, ride all the rides, spend way too much on food, not much on booze unless you get on the monorail, go to the Disneyland hotel, go drink at the hotel, and get back on the monorail because the Disneyland hotel is not in the park.
But it's connected by the
monorail?
But
it's connected. So you don't ever actually technically leave the park, but you do. As long as you have a stamp or something, you can get back on.
Monorail.
Monorail.
Every time I hear that word.
The crowd has spoken. So what we would do is we'd go have a couple hours fun, Disneyland, but we'd save certain rides for after our trip on the monorail to the Disneyland Hotel, where we would drink not as much as we probably could have because, dear God, the expense of those drinks.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Were ridiculous. And then get back on nicely buzzed and go on the teacup ride.
Ugh, that doesn't sound like
Space Mountain. Or, yeah. That's there's a thing called, Disneyland on acid. I know people that have done that.
Sure.
I'm related to people who have done that. So, to varying degrees of, shall we say, satisfaction.
Yeah, and/or success,
of enjoyment. So I'm wondering what if they're going to try to work in Incredibles at any of the parks, because it's a pretty decent franchise.
I don't know.
Although, but just two films does not.
Well, let's see where it goes. I mean, I'm sure there's.
Oh, they've already broke some serious records. I mean,
did it?
Oh yeah.
I'm sure it was #1 last weekend.
Oh, absolutely, and probably this week too. I don't know of any other new films that are debuting that could really take it down. And if it does, it'll drop so quickly. Incredibles will be back. I mean, even Solo, which has done. Yeah, apparently, they're theoretically putting him on hold.
See, first of all, I don't think that's true. There's
too much money to be made.
Once those machines get going, they're not going to stop.
It's possible they may delay some release. They're probably, ones that are already in production, pre-production, they'll probably continue on, but they're going to revamp maybe their release schedule. And I don't think we're going to get any standalones before episode 9.
Well, no, we wouldn't. That's next on the schedule. That's next. And honestly, it's a good thing. I think, again, I've said one of the things that hurt Solo was that Last Jedi was 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And it was, people were a bit testy about it and shitty online about it. And
it wasn't a bad film.
No, it's a great film.
I enjoyed it.
It just didn't suck the junk of the fans. The guy made a movie to change things up.
It didn't suck the junk of the fans.
I was trying not to be vulgar. I don't know why.
You're saying that Lucasfilm didn't give a nice blowjob to the fanboys?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Brian Johnson didn't do that. He didn't pay off all the things that were set up by JJ, and they, and they were all whining about that. Oh, we don't know where Rey's parents are, and we don't get the lightsaber, and blah, blah, blah.
The first time you experience Star Wars is a special, dare I say, sacred thing.
Right.
Trying to get that again with every Star Wars film,
it's impossible.
You cannot do it.
Right.
It's not possible. It's not possible. You can have one that you feel good about in a completely different way. It's like the music that you listened to when you were in junior high and high school sticks with you like fucking glue.
Right.
Other stuff comes along, but that's the stuff you go back to, that because that was a period in your life when you were, I guess, not a jaded asshole like we all are now.
Yes.
And it's the first time you experienced music as a thing that you latched onto, you know?
Well, Star Wars specifically
exactly
rearranged my brain as a child, but I was 5.
Yeah.
But there's a difference, you know. Now I'm much older than that, and it's not going to do the same thing.
And even if Star Wars hadn't existed and you saw the original A New Hope right now, it wouldn't have the same effect.
No.
It would have a different effect and perhaps a good effect, an enjoyable film, but it wouldn't have that
it wouldn't
burrow into your soul and like just stay there.
Yeah.
So people who are bitching and moaning about this and that, I mean, I get it. Every film has its flaws, even Star Wars.
Yes, but there are huge flaws.
Yeah, but you know what? Who gives a shit?
Right. And like I said, I think it's a good thing we're going to have a break because Episode 9 is not coming out till December of 2019.
Right.
So we've got a year and a half to finally to cleanse,
to
the
resolve,
and just anticipate. You know, I mean, the first time the trailer for Episode 1 was released, I lost my mind because it had been 10, 12 years before a Star Wars movie, something like or more.
No, more than that.
Yeah,
15,
something like that. Yeah, and you know, I was out of my mind.
Oh.
I went to the movies specifically to see it on the big screen.
Yeah,
twice. Sat through the fucking Waterboy to see it on either end. They played it right, and we don't get that in. You know, now it's like 3 months from now. It's like, oh, it'll be on disc, and 3 months after that, we got a trailer, and then there's no anticipation.
The days where you see it in the theater and then you don't get to see it until it's
just go home
in
and
the
watch
theater
it
again.
Yeah.
Same thing with TV shows. You know, it's on. You missed it. Maybe they'll repeat it during the summer, but that's it. You're not going to see it again.
Yeah, you may never see that.
Exactly. Now everyone's like, well, I'll catch it later. And I'm guilty of this. There's some films that if I knew I could not see it on home video, if this was the era, I'd be like, all right, I'll go see it. But some ones that I'm on the fence about, like, I'll catch it on Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm okay with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But there are certain films, you know, opening weekend got to be there, like Solo. Like pretty much any Star Wars film.
But I mean, you know, piggybacking them so close to one another, you don't have that, like, I don't know when there's going to be another one. And then, oh my God, we're doing another one.
And that's another thing.
And,
you know, with the internet, everyone knows, all right, we know the box office, we know the release schedule, we know the director's been hired, we know this is the cast, so this person that was in this film will be in this film. So much of it, it's not like, you know, your parents going, hey, it's 3 years later. Guess what? What? There's a new Star Wars film. What?
Yeah, exactly.
We're going, oh my God. You know, now
it's, you
know that shit. There's like a website dedicated, like a clock, you know.
Well, they make big giant announcements with posters and timelines.
So that kind of sense of wonder. I mean, even kids now, up to a certain age, like maybe 8 or so, can still have that wonder because they're not plugged into, they're not checking Box Office Mojo for the weekend grosses and, you know, the website with the countdowns to whatever the next, you know, Teletubbies movie or what the fuck they're watching. They can have that sense of wonder, and those are the films they're going to hold close to their soul. Hopefully it's not something like a Transformers movie. Bumblebee, why?
Why, I don't know, but they at least, he looks like he's supposed to. He's finally a VW bug. Yeah, because the original was a VW, and it was like, what's this fucking Camaro bullshit?
You know what? I watched the first Transformers film because the technology, the visuals looked amazing. Kind of scant on story, and that's all I needed to see. I have not seen a single one since.
I have seen the second one, and that was where I pulled the chute. I was like, I'm done.
Nope.
Bumblebee, I'll Netflix that. Just to see what
I'll
it
movie
is.
pass that.
Perhaps.
See, that's another thing. With Movie Pass, I can see that. A film that, like, I'll wait for it. You know what? Yeah. I'm technically watching it for free. Let's go.
Well, no, you're paying for it. Just not
like $1
specifically.
You know, if you watch enough films,
right.
It's you know, I try to watch about 3 or 4 a month if possible.
Well, yeah.
So, you know, $2.50 a film. I'll
right.
But if I find out that Michael Bay
I think he's out. He's not on this one.
If he's not on it, then I'll give it a shot. If Michael Bay is connected to this in anything more than executive producer,
right?
And even then yeah, and that guy is death to me.
It's the trailer. It's okay. It's funny. And it looked like there was a Starscream from the Transformers in it, or a jet Transformer. And I was like, oh, okay. And it looked like he looked like he was supposed to as well. So, because that was the thing about one of the complaints about those movies is Optimus Prime it was a different kind of truck, and Bumblebee was not a VW, and Starscream was a different kind of jet.
That's probably a Michael Bay decision.
Yeah, it is. It's an art decision, and it's like, well, no. So anyway,
it's one of those things. If it doesn't make any difference one way or the other, make people happy. Adapt it the way it's supposed to be. Don't be a dick, Michael Bay. Dick.
Well, that was one of the problems with superhero movies. Like, just put him in the goddamn suit.
Yeah.
When the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man suit was revealed, everyone lost their freaking minds because, oh my god, it looks like the suit.
It's the suit. Yeah.
Tim Burton's Batman suit is not what Batman looks like.
And Joel Schumacher's Batman suit was a fucking abomination.
We won't even talk about that.
About what? Exactly. Now, I wouldn't say I was on the fence. I was kind of getting off the fence on Bumblebee.
Yeah.
But then she put the tape in him. and it played Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley.
Yeah.
And he shot it like a freaking bullet and just about took her head off. And she looks like, huh? That
was funny.
That was good. Now, what do you think the second song on that mixtape was?
Oh, what? I don't know.
It's got to be
Medication time. Medication time.
We ran out of time. I will tell you next week.
The 9 Billion Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bauman, with Abdul Benny Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Loner. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Piranha Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the offices Howard and Fine. I want a suit that shoots lavender and peppermint goo out of it.
Ooh, nice.
Our intro music was written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shag Records and is a production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Listen and watch on YouTube, listen on SoundCloud, stream us on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or email us comlink@billionpod.com. Until this happens again, I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Michael Reed.
LLZ.
Audio Primate.